Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music. Today I want to talk about coupling. Coupling is a kind of parallel motion, all the notes in your chords moving in the same direction at the same time. I had a choreographer friend who called a certain kind of dance motion birding. You've seen starlings or maybe a school of fish swimming together, and when one fish changes direction, so does the other. Or the birds in the sky, they're moving in a clump, everyone moving in the same. I'm totally messing with the autofocus on the camera, but you get the idea. Let's take a look at how it works when we're talking about chords and harmony. I have definitely talked about this quite a bit, but let's just quickly review the idea of parallel motion. The shape that I grabbed was the simple triad, C up to D, and right up the diatonic scale until I get to the next C chord. Each voice in that sequence moved up by a scale step, and as a result, I got a solid, smooth, kind of stepwise progression that sort of outlined the chords. Now, the truth is, when we're playing chords, we don't really like this kind of motion most of the time, especially when the outside voices are in fifths. You're definitely going to get a D from your AP music theory teacher if you give them this kind of chord progression, or perhaps even more, heinously. D minor, G, C, A minor is a perfect example of parallel motion that will get you a D. However, there are some beautiful examples of parallel motion whose sonorities are really appealing. Take, for instance, this stack of fourths. If I move up and then back, I've played a stack of fourths whose motion is parallel and each voice moves in the same direction, and yet the sonority is kind of beautiful. Now, I played notes that were out of the scale, and this is called a chromatic parallel set of chords, what my teacher called coupling. Couplings can be beautiful. Almost any chord set can be coupled. Beautiful. And when you couple chords like that, you essentially are creating kind of like a single timbre which moves around. Now, here's the thing. Back in the 80s, when I used to get called in to do keyboard parts for pop musicians, rappers especially, they'd have sampled something, maybe an orchestral grab, which is what I've done today, and played a chord progression with it. And the net result would be kind of wacky because, of course, the sample, a single audio file, is going to be fine on one key, but when you move it to another key, everything shifts in parallel. It's a great example of coupling accidentally. Listen to this sound. That's an orchestral sample that I grabbed from Wagner's Parsifal. It's kind of a complicated minor 7-flat-5 chord. I can really hear the A in it, and that's probably the single most important note, right? But there's a lot else going on. So if I play something like this with that track, there's a bunch of notes built in there which are not in the original scale. I get a coupling. It's not bad sounding. It's kind of cool. It'd be awesome with a beat, right? Well, we can do exactly the same kind of thing using chord trigger or something like it in Logic. Chord trigger allows you to select a type of chord and play it from one key. So here I'll play that same A, and I'll get a minor 7 with a ninth. Now if I go A, B, C, I get a series of chords really that don't live in any given key. Because the stack, the vertical arrangement of notes, is a minor 7 chord, and I just play 3 notes in a row, I'm going to get 3 minor 7 chords in a row, and there isn't really a place in any scale that's like that. Essentially what we've done is we've created a sonority, a new instrument, if you will, based on a vertical stack of notes. And really, that's what coupling is all about. It is great for orchestral textures. Let's go back. So let's say I have a pedal tone G, and I'm going to create a chord shape on the top. It's going to be this. It's a minor triad with a major second on top. Can you hear how that block of notes, which is essentially a coupling now, against the pedal tone creates almost like a new texture and timbre? How terrific would that sound in, say, brass and winds while the strings are doing the ostinato? Couplings are a way of creating new sonorities out of easy harmonies that you may know already. Almost anybody can play a triad. Almost anybody can play a pedal tone. They work together really, really well. I mean, it doesn't even really have to be a triad. Something as simple as parallel fifths against a pedal tone. Here's a low E. Parallel fifths. I guess recently my analysis of the theme from Severance is another really good example of that. A pedal on the C, and we go chord, down a half step, down a half step, and then it winds up on a C minor chord. But you can look and see that those chords are essentially coupled, E flat major, D flat major, against a pedal tone C. Couplings are a really interesting way of creating extra thick sonorities, too. If you have an instrument sound that doesn't sound great, you don't like it so much, couple your melody with that instrument sound, and suddenly you get extra rich sounding instruments. Of course, that's the technique that orchestrators have been using for hundreds of years. Well, try it for yourself. You can do it automatically by sampling a sound and just playing a single key around, or perhaps using something like the chord trigger, MIDI plugin. Maybe you have something like it on your own DAW. I hope this has been useful. Like and subscribe, ding the bell. You'll be notified when I do my videos, and I'll see you next time.